actually the generation before mine. So believe it or not, I know who he is. I know what he does. But until today, I never really focused on him, if that makes sense. So this is going to be interesting to have a very different perspective. So Scott Page is the saxophone player for bands, or has been the saxophone player for bands like Supertramp, Pink Floyd, Toto, and like lots of others, right, Scott?
Yeah, I've been playing for quite a while. Had a pretty interesting career, played with quite a few folks through the years, and it's actually very interesting because I'm actually going through all my archives now, pulling all my pieces together, and tens of thousands of photographs and old memorabilia. I had 2 storage units filled with memorabilia I've collected through the years. So it's really been kind of fun to go back and look at all this stuff. It's crazy. I can't even believe I blinked and all this time went by, and I had all those very interesting experiences through the years. I'm very thankful for that, for sure. Yeah.
You talked about memorabilia, and we'll get to that question I talked about earlier. But what's one of the most favorite things that you have in your collection that you can think of?
Oh, okay, I'll tell you what. I'll even show you. How's that?
Sure.
I'm gonna
bring it on out.
I'm going to pull this off my tripod. I'm going to stroll. We're going to stroll. Let's go to a strolling interview. Let's do that.
Sure.
All right. So here's one of my favorite all-time things. And this I got. I'm going to turn the light on here. And I don't know if you can see it, but here it is. It's this thing right here. It's a very interesting piece. Let me see if I can hold it here. It's a piece of music that I have framed, right? You can kind of see it there. And what it is it's called, at the bottom down here, it says it's called Four Famous up here. It's 4 Famous Bars plus 12. And what this is a piece of music that was written this was actually for Quincy Jones. They were doing the Golden Score Award for Quincy, and they made 2 of these. And what this is Erwin Kospel, who was the president of the association, went around. And this is all 12 of the Academy Award winning songs written in the hands of each of the 4 of each of the artists. So you got David Rass, you got Quincy Jones, Cry Me a River, all the original songs in the handwritten of the people that wrote those. And there's only 2 of these. And what's interesting is there's me, and then Quincy got one that same night on his thing. And let me show you that. So now you can kind of see there's a picture of me and Quincy there holding this. Whoop, let's see if we can do this. Is it make reading there?
Can't read it, but it's
you get the idea.
Good.
So
yeah.
So anyway, that's me and Quincy. So they made 2 of those, and it was for auction. And I stood in the line to get this. I waited every time someone would bid on it. I'd bid on it again. And so it's one of my favorite pieces. I mean, I have a lot of memorabilia. That's a big part of what I've been doing for so many years. It's just collecting things that you can kind of see. I've got walls of crazy stuff in here. Obviously my big old angel there, which is kind of trippy, right?
Yeah.
And then you can see I've got cabinets all over with memorabilia and stuff that goes on. This was when we did the Royal Albert Hall with Supertramp. That's Lady Di and myself. That came out on the magazines. I got all kinds of crazy stuff, all this Pink Floyd stuff back in the day with my dad, which goes back to the question you were talking about earlier, right? So anyway, I got all this stuff, Moscow Music Peace Festival, all those things. I mean, it goes on. I got rooms filled with stuff, just crazy. So I'm actually in the midst of building a whole series of I'm putting together an exhibit that's going to go along with, I have, probably 10,000 photographs. And out of that, I've got some incredible ones with all the bands from Supertramp, Toto, tons of Pink Floyd, shot over 150 hours of video with Floyd. So I have a vast collection of stuff, and I'll be sharing. So I'm going to stick this back on my little tripod here.
Yep. That's fine.
Hold on one second there. Oh, how did that happen? I don't want that. Are we back yet? Let's see. Oh.
No, we're missing your picture, but that's okay.
My picture. Hold on. Where is it? Come on.
I don't know.
I lost it. Hold on one second here. Let me go this way here for a second. What's happening? Cancel. Let's go here. Where are we? I know we're in here. Where is us?
The beauty of this is live entertainment, right? This is how the world is working now. So
what's interesting is I don't have a Zoom anymore. Hold on a second. It dropped out. Hold on one second. Not Zoom, but StreamYard. There's no, I can't find it anymore. It disappeared. Hold on a second. For some reason, it's not coming back, and there's no StreamYard.
Well, here's the thing, Scott. I can still hear you if you want. Emma says turn on the light, but it's okay if it's just...
It's not showing up in the app. I don't know where it went. I mean, it's so strange. Let's see. Could it be there? No.
Weird.
Wow, that is so strange. It's not even showing up. There's no StreamYard, no nothing. And this was in Safari.
Weird.
Do you want to redo this?
If you want, can I send you an email real quick with a new link?
You could.
Is that doable?
I can hear you fine, but I can't. There's no more. It disappeared. Oh, let me just see. I got the
I'll tell you what.
Let me see if I click the StreamYard link, what happens.
Okay, we can definitely do that.
That
should bring you back in.
Right now. It says allow.
We'll see what happens. Oh, there we go. Boop. Are you there still? Ah! Can I hear you?
It's like loading. It's doing something. There we go. Are we back?
There we go.
Are we back?
You there?
I'm here.
Yeah, I think we're back. I'm sorry, Scott. I apologize.
I'm very sorry about this.
So Emma is watching, and she said turn on the light, but yay, Emma is back. Emma Kirkbride, if you know who that is. I have no idea, Emma. Nice to meet you.
Emma.
Anyway, so what I want to say is it's awesome that you kept all that stuff. There's so many musicians that over the years just let it all go, threw it all away, or let's face it, had some rough times and had to sell that stuff, right? So it happens. When you're looking at that stuff, how do you actually feel about it? Because you're obviously still creating, but there's many musicians that get into to the point where they're not allowed to do that anymore. They're not able to do that anymore. So how do you feel about looking back these days?
Oh, I mean, for me, it's interesting to look at. It's what it does is when you look at it, it takes you back there for a minute. That's what's kind of fun to look back, especially at the photographs. And, like, again, all this video I shot, like 150 hours of this whole Floyd thing over a few years. And I have never even looked at it yet. Right. I've only I digitized it all and sampled places because, 150 hours to sit there for 150 hours to look at everything and make notes. And but it's really trippy because you go back. It's almost like you were there again. So that's really fun. But for me, really, I totally don't. It sounds so funny. I collect all this stuff, but I don't really care about the past. It's all just an illusion now. You can't touch it. You can't change it. It's just a memory, right? It's just fun to have this stuff and, kind of share them, kind of the things, because it brings back those stories, that moment when those things happen, so you can remember what it was. And it's just fascinating to look at. But, for me, I'm more about like where we are right now. I'm extremely excited about the future of even live entertainment and things and what's going on, even with this COVID situation that's going on. I think this is going to be an incredible time for artists, an incredible time for innovation like we've never seen before. An entrepreneurial spirit is going to be crazy. It's so amazing that you take something that's such a sad, rough thing on so many people, and yet there's so much positive that will actually come out of this. So, but got to move on.
I'm one of those guys that is a live entertainer, and I actually require to have an audience or I can't do my real job. So for a band, you can play behind a screen or whatever, and you can still connect because it's music. But for some artists, they can't. It's really strange.
Yeah.
When you do look back, I'm going to ask.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm building live shows right now, and actually, it's so funny. I'm getting called for my company Think Experience, and we do a Think Floyd show. Everybody's calling us to do that show. There's all these new innovations of people building out drive-in theaters and things, and new types of live entertainment experience. But I think it's really going to be a hybrid of live entertainment, obviously streaming. What's cool about the live stuff now, or today, with all this kind of collaborative communications, real time is now a big part. I can set up in the clubs. I can put screens up. I can have people that are actually home watching me look up on the screen, see them, interact with those people now. So I think there's some very interesting new models that are going to start to work. And I'm very excited about also bringing in the concept of taking live events and tying them into streaming events, but also tying them into delivery services. Because we now have Postmates and, you know, all these different things that we can send stuff. So now we can create experiences that can be delivered to the home, that can tie into the live experience. Some people can experience it live, some can take it online, and some people then can have things that are part of the experience that they can do at home with their friends and families. Because I think a lot of people are going to start having more events in places where they know they feel safe. And they have trusted source and stuff. So I think it's going to be interesting. And since people are getting so used to this new collaborative thing, because I think what's really come out of this is the behavioral changes that are going to change everything. I mean, you look at Twitter, they just announced that all their people are going to stay working at home. They're not going to open up offices again, right? So this whole moving into what we'll call cocooning in a sense. And I believe that the next business models are around the hive. In other words, if you want to survive, you have to build a hive. And that's the beauty of all this, you know, live streaming to 1 to million, whatever. I can start them instantaneously. I can build stuff. And, you know, for the music world, you know, we can't sell music anymore. So what can you sell? You can sell the lifestyle or the relationship and the experience. So like I said, Think Experience is an immersive entertainment company, and we're going to still bring that under all these conditions, creating out experiences. So, you know, very positive about where things are moving, actually.
So the one thing that I really took a hold of off that was the sending of things to people at home. What are you talking about when you talk about that? Like, are you like concert experience stuff? So T-shirts, glow sticks, and that type of thing?
Yeah,
or what?
Drink,
what exactly?
Drink, special drink mix. You know, can be all kinds of things. If you're doing some kind of event, maybe it's a rock and sock'em health event where, you know, you got people working out to the music and stuff. You can send workout stuff. There's a lot of things you can put in that box. Dinner, you can serve up food, you can serve up all kinds of things. So it's really up to the imagination of what you want to build and make happen. And we're planning on doing a big event. I'm going to do a test run of this in the next few months. Once we got a little bit more opened up where we can do things here. Unfortunately, California is locked down, that's another whole story, which I think is the most stupid thing we could do right now. But that's another story. I just think, and then we're doing a big event on November 25th, which I'm really excited about. We have a whole campaign we're going to do. It's going to be a day-long kind of telethon style thing where we're going to be bringing all these disciplines and strategies and the platform we're building out to do this type of an event. But I do think that this is kind of where things are going to start moving to.
That's fantastic. You know, when you think about the at-home concert experience, it's for years, it's basically been watching people on a screen, right? It's watching the old videos of the concerts or whatever. And that's amazing, some of the stuff you're talking about.
Well, yeah, think about it. I mean, right now, we got so much media. We're like bombarded with media. And what will people pay
everywhere.
for? They'll pay for the experience. And something live that happens once or is a unique experience, I think people are going to want to be able to dial into those. And remember, they can dial in from their phone anywhere and be part of it. But the big thing is we can make it two-way now, which is a totally different game than just streaming something, sitting and being passive. There's ways we can now start bringing the people into the experience from all other locations, which changes the game big time. And now that I can get stuff into people's hands, now we're really talking. So I'm very, like I said, I'm very excited about where things are going in the future of entertainment right now. And especially, you know, for small guys like us as entrepreneurs, we're always fighting against the big brands, the big majors, right? And those are always tough to beat because they got deep pockets. They got all the access. They control the streaming infrastructure. They do that. But this shakeup of the planet, this new shift, because if you think about it, we're going from BC before Corona to now AC after Corona, and everything behind it is going to be different now, right? This is like a game changer at this moment. So, you know, it's very interesting to see what's going to happen now. And like I was saying, and the big guys, but what's great for us is now the big guys are just as confused as everybody else. And they're so focused on how to save their old business models. It allows us to create new business models, new strategies without all the problems that a major has, because they have contract law. They got contract deals with everybody. And when they want to think outside the box, they got to go back to all the partners, get the contracts, whatever that is. So for us that are nimble, small, and I see a hyper local opportunity where it's close niched in an area, because since I can start this stream for one person, 5 people, whatever, I can start building a relationship around a venue with my local customers and fan base and create experiences where they could be there or they not be there. And, and have this delivery thing, create premium services, like maybe you sign up for a membership and it's X amount a month, but because you're tied to we're playing out at the Killer Yacht Club, which is inside a Killer Shrimp. It's a great restaurant. So they have food specials that can be delivered to your house, and it's all part of a premium service. And, I think there's just way new thinking that can go into this whole thing. So
that's, when you look at the food services that are available now, that ties in perfectly, actually, the home delivery food and stuff.
Yeah.
Even things like cooking shows could incorporate that. I know it's an off topic, but a cooking show or something that could incorporate that for delivery, and you watch the show and cook along with it.
Makes no difference.
It'd be amazing.
The new model, I think. That's the model I believe is happening. And that's all I've been working on, developing all that right now. We're running financials and all that on this idea. And I'm pretty excited about this. I think there's some really incredible things, in tech. And then it's like, I'm really focused on the infrastructure, right? The audience management layers and the pieces that are going to be needed to manage that type of an experience across. But man, everything's here now. All the tools are pretty much built. It's a configuration issue, and it's really about, great campaigns and really great content, something that people can see and create an incredible experience, right?
That makes sense.
Yep.
I like.
There you go.
So from there, it's Think EXP, correct? Is that the page people can find this stuff?
Think Experience is the name of the company. Think EXP. And our first shows we've been doing were a Think Floyd experience, right? So we've been doing Pink Floyd with an all-star band, Steve Perkins, who's my partner from Jane's Addiction. Tony Franklin's been playing from The Firm, Norwood Fisher from Fishbone, Kenny Olds from Kid Rock. So we have a core group of band that's around a business model. So we're building a new business model and kind of a new platform that basically ties together the live technologies in order to create those experiences and tied to the audience infrastructure that needs to be put in place. So Think is an experience entertainment company. We're doing a variety. We're actually building a couple different shows right now around this model. We had just finished. This was going to be our biggest year. We were just blowing up this year. Well, of course, we got smacked. We had just finished doing over 40 shows in a 360-degree immersive dome. And it's the trippiest thing. People laying back on beds. We even had beds that plugged in to the music and did specific things. And it's just a trip that when you start creating an experience around the music. And we had gigs booked and we were building out. And then this whole thing smacked us. And now we're basically square one, but not really. We've got a lot of the things we've been putting in place were things we were doing for a while. So,
even the lessons that you learned from doing however many you did can be, maybe this is a good break time to take a break, look back and see what could be refined, right? That's the big part of it, I think.
So no question. For me, it's like this. It's like, even it was really interesting to me. It's like my favorite subject is consciousness, the whole concept of your mind and your ego working together. And what happened for me is just this thing. When you realize that the only thing that's real is us talking, right? I mean, seriously, think about this, folks. Whoever's watching this right now, the only thing's real is you looking down. 2 minutes ago is an illusion. 2 minutes from now is an illusion, right? So what could happen in the future is all just mental stuff that's in my head that I think is going to happen. Same with the past. So I've gotten to the point when this happened, we lost all our revenue. We lost everything for the year, all this stuff. And I just went, cool, no problem. Because all those gigs, Budapest, Europe, we were building a 1,600 seat immersive dome that was going in up at the Queen Mary. We've had all these gigs, more shows in the domes, and it went away. But all those things that went away were also just an illusion. They were only things in my mind that I thought that was going to happen. I mean, we were booking them, and yeah, I can imagine them, but I have no idea what could happen, right? I could have went to New Orleans for Jazz Fest, fell down, smacked my head, and who knows? So all that future stuff, all that past stuff, I care less about. I don't even care. So for me, it's just like I woke up one morning. I said, that's all gone. Okay, what's next? I looked around. The reality is I'm sitting here hanging out, and I'm just going to go reshift and rethink, because it's always about what you're doing right now, because it's the only thing that's real. So the only step that matters is the one you're taking right now. So don't get caught up in all that stuff in the head, because again, right now, I think for entrepreneurs is one of the greatest times in history. I mean, this is unprecedented, the shakeup on the planet and what it has done to business, the way we've done it, the user behavior is changing, everything's changing, and technology is stemming it all together like crazy. And it's going to be an interesting ride. I believe we now can say the flag went down, we're going into the world of the Jetsons. If you remember the Jetsons, right? This is like,
I do.
All this travel, all this stuff, things are happening. So it's going to be exciting, a wild ride. I'm actually happy to be able to go experience some of this. I'll tell you, it's crazy.
You talk about the Jetsons. This thing 40 years ago would have been impossible. Just the phone, right? It would have been, what are you thinking about? That's crazy. And we have it. The fact that we can do this live video this way, right?
Oh no, it's crazy.
So not just with music, but with other forms of entertainment, this immersive experience you're talking about, you're talking about having immersive experiences with all entertainment mediums, basically, correct?
Yeah, because, we were doing things like, you can start thinking about what AR and VR starts to be coming into the package now. I think those behaviors are going to really change, especially because I think it's going to do, people are home now checking out Oculus and all the VR kind of stuff. So I think that we're moving into that world. We've always talked about it because we have the three main drivers that have changed everything: bandwidth, storage, and horsepower. Those have all come together now. Remember, they've all been working. Bandwidth is down there, 2G, 3G. Now we're moving into 5G. This real-time thing is happening. Look at this computer that I'm holding in the palm of my hand, which is, forget about it. Whoever thought I'd have a worldwide broadcaster in the palm of my hand and the ability to build my own audience, because whoever owns the audience wins. I don't need anybody. I need a handful of tools and some brain power and some just understanding and learning of where the models are going, where business is going, and I can go into business. And I think this is going to force so much more of the gig economy, like you can't even believe. We're going to see more people building stuff, doing things like you're doing. It's a perfect example. You got something to say, you got something to do, you got an idea, you can go do it right now. So pretty wild, brother. This is like, I'm like, the hair stands on my arm. I'm so excited about what I get to go do right now. And it's so sad.
The reason that,
I'm sorry.
The reason I'm doing this is because I do stage hypnosis, which sounds crazy, but that's what I've done for 13 years. And the reason I'm doing this is because I need a group of 100 people, or I can't do it. Well, I don't need 100 people. I need 30 people to do a good show. But right now, I'm in Canada. We're probably not doing events till January.
Yeah.
So you talk about immersive experience. Maybe that's something that I should actually be looking at.
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
that's true. All this stuff is things that you should be looking at and how you can deliver that, thinking about a screen in between and stuff, and having live and combination. Because remember, the big difference is two-way. It's not a one-way broadcast anymore. It's two-way. So I can start thinking about who I bring in, what I bring in, how do I create stuff in a different manner? And then, again, with the iBox idea, we can go make stuff and give it to people and put it in their hands.
Yep. And it's kind of like there was a concert years ago where they did 8 locations. I'm not sure which concert it was, but they did 8 locations. And they broadcast them all live, and then they'd switch back and forth from one to the other. So it could be multiple venues, multiple places, multiple bands, and even bringing people in from home, right? You could bring in somebody from a broadcast like this and see them just grooving out and stuff like that.
There's so many things that can be done right now. And so that's what we're doing on our 25th, the 25th, the day before Thanksgiving. It's a big COVID relief program that we're doing, fundraiser. I'm doing this along with Soho Johnny out of New York, my buddy there. We're kind of partnering up on all this stuff. And it's basically, I'm a big proponent of forget about the past. It's over. Move forward. There's so much opportunity. Let's focus on that. And that's what this is all going to be about, is like, how do we help the people that are going to be suffering greatly from this? Because I mean, the suffering we haven't even seen yet is going to be incredible. But at the same time, we're going to see humanity, I believe, step up, entrepreneurship, and people getting together and working together like they never have to help solve these problems. Because there's going to be a lot of problems to solve, and we need the ingenuity. And that's one of the things, there's no question the U.S. has, is we have a very strong, innovative entrepreneur group of people. And I think more now, especially with all this home stuff that we can do.
That makes sense. Now we're at 25 minutes. There was only one question. Well, there was two questions I actually wanted to ask you. I wanted to let you have everything else. So the first question is, you're an old timer, considered an old timer. I apologize for calling you old, but and you grew up in the business,
yes,
right? Your dad was a member of the band. So was there ever a time personally where you felt overwhelmed by a celebrity that you met? Does that make sense? Or were you always just comfortable?
Well, growing up, my dad was on one of the early television shows called The Lawrence Welk Show, which I grew up on, right? So I was around TV and, big video, big film or cameras for television broadcasts and hanging out at ABC Studios. So I was around it pretty much all my life. I had no intentions of being a musician, really. I did it a little bit when I was a kid with my dad. Got me. I was actually a trumpet player. And I played up through high school. He always said to me, play good, something you do on the weekends instead of working in the gas station, pick up a few gigs, make a few bucks, more fun. You might think you'll enjoy it, but play. So I kind of played through the years just for him more than for myself. I studied design and architecture and all that stuff. And I was working to be an architect. That was my goal, was to get into that business. And I ended up getting into a band when I was in high school, playing the second trumpet with Jeff Beccaro and David Page. I don't know if you remember, those guys became Toto, right? And Jeff, one of the greatest drummers of all time. So I got in a band with those guys. Kid band, was like a horn band, like a Chicago style band. And I just was like, holy cow, this is way too much fun. We're winning all the battle of the bands. And most importantly, there was a lot of girls at those gigs, and there were no girls at my architecture gig. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be a musician. So at that point, I just flipped everything. I took my drafting skills and I said, well, what can I do? I'm not a good enough musician to get any real work. I got to study. So I just started studying basically almost 24/7 with private teachers. And I took my drafting skills and I learned music copying. So because I was so good at using a pen and a pencil and stuff from my drafting skills, I took that up and became a music copyist. And for those that don't know, back in the day before computers, I was working for a guy named H.B. Barnum. He would be doing a record or a television show. I'd get a call from him 4 a.m. He said, hey, I got a date at 9 o'clock in the morning. Come drive over. I drive over, pick up the scores, the thing with all the parts on it. Here's all the violins, the trumpets, the saxophones. And then I'd sit there and write each part out, the trumpet part for the trumpet player, and then show up at 10 o'clock for the session and deliver stuff. So I've been around this game all this time. And then, I really got into the music and just really took off from there. First band I really was a big band for me was Seals and Crofts. Played with them in the 70s. And that was crazy. That was when they had, Summer Breeze and all this stuff. They were a big band in those days, toured the world with them. And from that, Supertramp, Toto, I played with everybody from Chuck Berry to freaking James Brown to, God, I don't know. It just goes on and on. Mick Fleetwood. I don't know. I've just, I've been played with so many people through the years, and it's been really a blessing. I'm telling you, I'm so thankful to be a musician. It's not an easy life. Let's put it that way. It sounds easy. There's times when there's ups and there's down. And, for me, I got so involved in technology, and that's why I became a technologist. And this is my 4th startup. So I'm actually an entrepreneur. And I got that from my dad, too, because when I was growing up, we had boat businesses, donut businesses, lighting businesses, saxophone reed businesses. We just had everything. My dad was also interesting, was one of the inventors, along with Brad Plunkett, of the wah-wah pedal, the famous wah-wah pedal. So, I've been around the music business all my life, and that's kind of what I do.
I'm not even going to ask the other question I had, just simply because we don't need to. It was just a conversation starter. And I think we I think we had a pretty good interview. I want to thank you very much for coming on.
My
Before the show ends, this was fantastic. I'll keep you on for about a minute afterwards or longer if you want to chat. But everybody who's watching, I want you to give a thumbs up for Scott, whether you're watching live or later.
Thumbs up.
And Scott, we end the show in a simple way. I just need you to do this. Just wave bye-bye, and I'll end the broadcast.
Yay!
Thank you, Emma. End the broadcast. Come on now. It's working. It's not. Come on.